Hi everyone, and welcome to GL Talks. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jessica, and today we have Caitlin Dury. She recently attended the Hugh O'Brien Leadership Seminar, and today she wants to talk a little about her experience there. So Caitlin, can you tell us a little about what is HOBE?
Yeah, so it's a 3-day-long conference, and they have them in every state, and basically you go there and they teach you different leadership skills, so personal leadership style, group leadership, and societal leadership, and basically just how to be a good leader and lead a team and just interact with people well.
What did you do? What activities did you?
Yeah, so there were a lot of different activities to kind of help you in your own personal leadership style. So there were a lot of parts where they broke us up into our different types of leaders, and we had taken a survey before to figure out what type of leader we were. And so one of the cool ones was we had to build a high school, our ideal high school within those groups, and it was sort of interesting to see how the groups interacted differently based on their leadership types. So there was the one type that was really type A and linear, and they sort of voted on all their decisions. And then the other group that was just everyone was throwing ideas out and kind of chaotic and everyone trying to bring in their ideas. So different things like that to see how we interacted differently.
And within those two groups, which one did you find yourself falling into?
I was actually in a third group. There were 4 groups total. So my group because they were based off of colors, so I'm not sure exactly what it would be called, but it was basically taking a lot of people's ideas into account. So for us, it was coming up with an idea and then seeing if everyone liked it or how people wanted to change it.
So are you traditionally more of a group work leader?
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else did you guys do?
There was also a lot of traditional bonding style activities, but with kind of a different twist. So one of my favorite ones was called Warm Fuzzies, where you would go around within the group and you would give a compliment to everyone, and then every time you did, you would get a piece of string that you would tie around their lanyard. So by the end of it, you had all your warm fuzzies tied to your lanyard of all the nice things that you had said. And it was really cool because it was the first day, so we all didn't really know each other that well. So it was kind of a way to kind of get to know each other and work together as a group.
So was this a sleepover situation?
Yeah,
okay.
You stayed over for 2 nights, so 3 days in Tribeca University in Tennessee. So we'd stayed in the dorms there.
So I know there's a HOBE for every single state, and you went to Tennessee. Can you explain why you went to Tennessee versus maybe the New Jersey one?
Yeah, so I went to the Tennessee one because I happened to have a conflict the day of the New Jersey one. It's prom weekend. But there were a few that I could have gone to that week, but they had recommended the Tennessee one because it was a really smaller group versus some of the states can get really big. So kind of explained that I was more of a quiet person and a smaller group would probably be better.
What did you learn from it? What's the biggest takeaway?
I would say my biggest takeaway is that a strong leader is not necessarily someone who can get everything done 100% perfectly on their own, but sort of the best way to lead people is taking into account their own personalities and giving people tasks or instructing them a certain way based on what they are and what they kind of need. So one of the speakers had talked about how she's the head of an investigative journalism unit, and how she knows some people, they really need to be their tasks need to be broken down for them. They need to know exactly step by step, versus some people every once in a while, if you want to let them run with an assignment, even if it's not necessarily the best idea, if it's an idea that they're excited about, it'll help them a lot if they can just go with it and do it.
So you mentioned a lot of speakers. Were there any other speakers at the conference?
Yeah, so there were 3 speakers. There was one for each personal, group, and societal leadership. So one of them, the group leadership, was the one who, the investigative journalist. And then for societal leadership, there was a woman who spoke about a project she had started with dance and for children with, I believe it was autism, and then a few other types that to sort of dance in a comfortable environment where they still get to learn and have some structure with it. And they all perform a choreography at the end of it. And then she also works with a few computer science organizations, which I found really interesting. And then for the personal leadership one, the speaker kind of talked to us about the different types of how knowing yourself as a leader can sort of help you lead others.
Did you have a favorite of the speakers you heard? Or
I really like the group leadership one because I feel that was the one that I kind of use most in my own life, with leadership positions within school or clubs. It's kind of.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that, what are you involved in school, and how did you bring HOBE into that a little bit?
Yeah, so at school I'm involved in Model UN, obviously, and also robotics, and then outside of school I volunteer a lot at the library, and so kind of bringing HOBE back to that over the summer, I'm kind of going to be working with a computer science program at the library that I'm sort of starting with another facilitator, so sort of bringing back the skills from HOBE to kind of get that started and build a curriculum and hopefully have it run over the summer.
Is there any style of leadership that you struggle with that you think you gained something new from this experience?
Yeah, I definitely have struggled a lot in the past with sort of like making my voice heard as a leader. I'm, like I said,
Being assertive.
kind of, yeah, like kind of more of a quiet person. So it definitely helped, kind of being in that really comfortable environment sort of helped to open up, and then you can bring that back now of like knowing how to like talk to people and like sort of without not necessarily like you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to kind of be a good leader.
Awesome. Yeah.
Is there like a specific trait that you might say that you learned and now like you didn't have before, but now you do have?
I think it really helped me to be more outgoing, even outside of like the structured like speakers and activities, just like being thrown into a group of people that you've never met before and like spending 3 days with them has really helped to like know how to like build friendships quickly and like connect with people well. So yeah, I think it really helped with that.
So going into it, did you have a plan for how you're gonna try to make friends and interact with people, or were you just like, I'm gonna do it and
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
didn't
happen?
really have a plan. Honestly, like I wasn't really sure what it was gonna be like. If people were just kind of gonna be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
here for myself to like learn, if it was gonna be like a really collaborative environment. And like one of the first people I met, she's like, hi, I'm Emerson, like nice to meet you. Like,
Yeah.
are we in the same dorm? So it was sort of, I didn't really know what to expect, but then once I got there, I saw like everyone was really talking, and especially they broke us up into like small groups that you kind of spent most of the weekend with. So within that group, we all got like really close and were able to connect a lot. So, and we're still close, like we keep in touch, so.
I know this is your first sleepaway experience, so how was it?
It was a lot of fun. I like sleeping over. I don't know if I would want to stay in a college dorm like too much. It wasn't, it was just very, very different, like sharing with like, especially the style of the dorms where you were like sharing with like a lot of people. It was sort of like one big like open thing. So definitely in the future, I'd want to, I don't know, I did like the sleepover experience, but I like my personal space.
Oh.
Yeah.
So in college, you're like a personal.
Yeah, or maybe like
her.
with like one roommate.
Yeah.
Just not. It was, you were sort of in bunk beds, and then there were like, you were in the suite with like 9 people, and then
Wow.
it was
Wow.
it was a lot. You were split up into smaller dorms of like 3, but then like basically you were basically
Not a
with
lot of
9
personal
people.
space
Yeah,
to
like
go
9.
around.
So, but yeah, it was my first sleepaway experience, and it definitely taught me what to look for college, if nothing else.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now, would you recommend this experience to any sophomores? That
Yes,
use the
I
sophomore
would. I
experience?
definitely would. It was actually funny when I got back. A lot of people told me they were like, "Oh, I did that when I was a junior too." That I had no idea, but you can kind of like looking at them. I'm not surprised that you can see like they really do have like those strong traits. So I would definitely recommend it because I feel like I learned a lot.
Would you recommend just like specific type of person, or like for like what traits do you think specific type of leaders would get out? Like what type of?
I think personally I would recommend it to someone who has a lot of interest but is maybe like more quiet and not necessarily like already on like a leadership track,
Yeah.
but like wants to get more involved, because I think it helps with that and it kind of gives you the confidence to like get more involved in something. And
Yeah.
Right.
So after completing this leadership, is it like a seminar?
yeah.
Okay, so are you inspired to take leadership positions in any activities?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely inspired me with like a lot of the things I'm working on. Like I said, the thing at the library, it sort
Right.
of inspired me to come home and like get that done. It started out as kind of just an idea, and now it's like something that we're actually working towards. And then hopefully robotics next year. Well, I already know like I'm gonna be the oldest one on the team, so it's sort of a leadership position that I was thrown into anyway, whether I wanted it or not. But it definitely makes me a lot more confident about it now, and I was always excited about it, but now I'm excited and I feel like I can do it.
Right.
So.
So are you like president of robotics kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I don't know officially what the title is, but
Right.
sort of like
But you have
the
a
default
leadership-
sort of
yeah.
leader, yeah.
So how would you like bring Hobie like into that? Because I know robotics isn't like really
Yeah.
about leadership, but like because you're like the oldest,
Yeah.
like how would you bring it into like robotics?
Definitely like figuring out, I mean, the team, we're losing a lot of seniors this year, so the team is pretty much going to be people who haven't done it before and don't really have a lot of experience. So sort of like bringing together a bunch of people that probably aren't going to know each other and pulling that into a team is definitely a challenge that I've been thinking of for a long time, and sort of how am I going to do that. So now I feel like a lot more confident in terms of like being able to do that, and they kind of taught me like just kind of like get to know the people individually, and then that's how you can like make them like
Yeah.
show them how to interact with each other and kind of like just like know how to pull people together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure now, after learning about all the different leadership styles, you can kind of pick out each person and how they would
exactly.
lead
Like
too.
you have to sort of identify each person's like personality and type, and then sort of like give them like one of the big things that it said was kind of like breaking people either into smaller groups if it's like a really big group, or even if it's a small group itself, then just kind of like giving them tasks. So like some people they need to be given tasks, some people want to help with ideas, and sort of like knowing what everyone has to contribute.
So I think like leadership is like a lot about including everybody. So how would you talk about that like when you're in robotics? And I know it's like daunting to talk in front of like a big crowd, but like how do you think like maybe Hobie helped you to learn about that?
Yeah, it definitely, well, yeah, first of all, it gave me a lot of confidence with talking in front of the crowds. One of the actually cool things that I got to do there was introduce a speaker in front of like all 104 kids that were there, which was really, really scary, but I'm really glad I did it because it sort of, it was definitely like a confidence booster. And then also with that, like you mentioned with robotics and like other leadership positions, just kind of like making sure that everyone's voice is heard, you know, in terms of Hobie, like one of the things that they taught us was like you don't need to be the loudest person to be the leader, and then but then also like making sure you don't need to be the loudest person to contribute like within a group. So like as a leader, looking out for like the more quiet people that might have really good ideas, just not be there to share them.
So you also mentioned that program at the library. Can you go into a little more depth of what it is, like what you guys want to do?
Yeah. So right now they have a Girls Who Code program that runs on Sundays, but it's really, really small. I think only like 2 or 3 people kind of come to it. And it started out as a big group, and then people kind of stopped coming because it wasn't, it just didn't have the best structure. It sort of was, it sort of just turned into them like going every weekend to kind of like be on their computers but not learning a whole bunch. So now we're starting a program over the summer, and it's going to be a week-long class of just like instructional and just like so making sure that they're engaged and actually doing things so that when they are left on their own to just like program or do whatever they want to do, they have the skills to do that.
And especially in an industry that's so male dominated,
Yeah.
to bring women into it, and you'll be a leader.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It was kind
that's
of a nice.
fantastic.
I think they were kind of excited to have me because I was a girl that was kind of closer to their age than like the adult
Yeah.
facilitators were.
All right. Well,
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
do you have anything you want to leave the viewers with?
Just take every opportunity that comes to you. This was something that I didn't even really know about until Jess introduced to me, but I looked into it and it sounded really great. And even though it was kind of far away and like over a Memorial Day weekend, I'm really grateful that I went and like had the experience. So like if you have opportunities to go to like seminars or join clubs or do programs, even if it doesn't 100% sound like something you're like super, super excited about, just like do it because it'll probably work out.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks everyone for watching, and thank you, Caitlin, for
Thank
talking
you
to us.
guys.
Thank you so much.